Well, hello everyone. Right here is a song title right here, talking about for something for you right here, and it takes place in the library right here, and you can see right here that I drew pictures right here of this right here was supposed to represent me along with a fellow classmate right here, and you have right here I'm talking about notes though, and so you see right here that I went ahead and put right here is if I were to be writing down any notes or doing any sorts of work though, and a lot of times it sure seems that way that the first thing is first is that you start to thinking about a few words and then before you write them down and anything that you want to tell one of your classmates and of course it will be something like as toward yeah that talking about something about for what they remind you of but whenever you think about them, and so a lot of times it sure seems that way that back whenever I was very young that I used to like playing at the clarinet a lot of times, so it's like any source of musical instrument. So whenever you first play a musical instrument that let's just say that if you were trying to play that musical instrument for somebody in particular, and let's just say that I'm like, yeah, I like the musical is because like do 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 do, but still that I know that the song lyrics right here that wrote them down right here or across the page right here, but it pretty much starts out with the saying as to where yeah, I know what you were going to say, and but still that but you see right here, this part right here, to where it says, something about us that makes, makes us, a special, or, as true. So a lot of times that when we think about a song, that you really want to think about exactly who is it that you're singing the song lyrics to, and that there's any sort of subject matter. So a lot of times when we think about music, though, a lot of times that do we necessarily think about any source of connection? You're talking about a love story, or it could also be about any source of companionship with whenever you do meet somebody in the library, and you want to know too that how is it that you're able to approach any source of attention. And so let's just say that especially if you're going to be new to the school, and a lot of students there, they're going to be working on their work and all that, and then you see right here the details right here talk about with one of my classmates right here. So it's like, yeah, you go ahead and pick out a story, and it could be a fiction or a non-fiction title, and like you just start reading something, or if anything that maybe that like everybody else will probably say too, that you actually start doing something. More likely most of the time it's whenever you see somebody else that yeah, you see somebody else doing something, and if anything, you'll probably be watching them while they're going to be reading a story, or maybe reading a book, or maybe going through the backpack or something like that. But you have right here talking about yeah, in the gymnasium, in a cafeteria, I know. And so yeah, that so whenever it comes to singing a song, and the first thing that some more likely most gentlemen would say is that I know, I don't know, like on, well, I don't know, and so a lot of times it's like, yeah, that if the song were to go by is toward that, yes, I can see, like I know, I have no clue, yeah, yes, I understand, or yes, I heard that before, or something like that. So a lot of times, if you're going to be starting the song lyrics, and let's just say that if one of those classmates is maybe going to be asking you a question, so far as that, for how well that your mathematical type facts, and then also anything else, so like anything else that's maybe going to be approaching your idea as well. But you have right here talk about with the library right here. But I know with me though that I know sometime I'll go ahead and draw more pictures to where I can represent to other classmates though. But like anybody say too, that really does that really explain the whole story there, to where that whenever it talks about something for you. But yeah, I have right here this like, yeah, something like you, and I speak to you, and it's like reading. So yeah, the lyrics go by says to where we reading for what's on my mind, for what I can imagine, looking at the sky, and So whenever I first started singing the song, I was actually thinking about is to where like a good companionship to where whenever you begin a conversation with one of those classmates, and there were about four girls that I taught to in the fifth grade, and I could just remember that a couple of them, you talk to them, and most of the time it's like you would talk to them, and what's one thing that I really could imagine about that talking to one of those classmates, and if you want to sing them a song, anything in particular, and then I would say is to where it's something I can say and something I can tell, but nothing I could imagine of being with you. So it's basically another way of how do you want to call it is to where that if you want to go ahead and write a story or a novel about something, that are we talking about anybody in particular, or are we talking about a subject matter, or are we just talking about is to where it's something that touches your mind, and to where you really actually thought positive about going further into the story. So a lot of times it sure seems that way. That whenever you do read a story, though, it's like most of the time it's all about what happens next. So if you want to kind of call it like what happens next? So most of the time with most songs and most story lines that go by is toward what happens next. After you start talking and singing singing a song to somebody, but it goes like I say is toward that something I can tell, but nothing I can mention of being with you. But then, so that whenever I was singing a song right here, I was actually trying to think about is this to where really what sounds better? Is it really about something for you that I can imagine of being with you, or something else for what I can imagine of being with you? So a lot of times it's like that whenever you're trying to write a song, no, it sure seems that way to where that if you want to put yourself in at the front of the line to where like whenever you first sing a song, that it sure seems that way that you just really all goes by saying is toward the subject could be about for who you're attracted to before that they realize that this is the person right here that wants to explain a little bit more of the story right here. So like I say is toward that I could also think too that whenever I was writing the song that I was thinking that write the song about during the hardest moments is to where to think to think about the twice about the work and all. So that whenever I was writing this song, I was actually thinking about is that a love story based on the fact about whenever you do begin a conversation with a lot of those classmates, what exactly that comes to your mind whenever you were talking to a lot of those classmates. And quite a few classmates I was actually talking about video games about and all that, but still, that whenever I was a young boy, in the fifth grade, that most of the time, that it sure seems that way. That if you were to read a story about something, and there was a few authors that I did like to read about and all, but still, that what I was singing was actually talking about, like a form of a relationship toward it. If you can make at least one friend while you were going to that school, and then you can actually sing to them just by as toward that for something I can tell, nothing I can say, if nothing I can imagine being with you. And for being with you. And so whenever I would sing being with you, though, it sure seems that way that for how you would want to sing that, just to kind of get the person's attention as to where being with you, or as it goes by saying is that for nothing I can imagine being with you, or like anybody say is to where like a soft tone voice. That soft tone voice is going to be like, for nothing I can imagine, and it's something I can say, but nothing I can tell, but something I can imagine of being with you. And So yeah, that whenever I would just begin the song, though, that a lot of times it was like another form of connection toward it. That okay, how do people, how do those classmates and everybody think about your voice in particular? So I can just remember going into the library and then going into the classrooms though, and it was I'm like, yeah, most of the time I was in only two classrooms, but it was like you start singing a song, and at 102 is toward it that yeah, something for you, and you want to begin the song by saying is toward it before you give somebody that special treat, before you give this person that's something that you were thinking about, singing to them. You walk up to them and you would say something like hi, yeah, hi, gorgeous, but there's something I like to say and something I can do, but nothing I can imagine being with you. And so it's basically, yeah, just a little bit like a poetry, but like anybody say is if you're going to be writing a song, no, and let's just say that if you were to be writing a song, and let's just say that if it's going to start out by like an introduction toward it, that this person right here is actually working on something like a class assignment or something like that, and then let's just say if you walk up to them and start singing to them, and at the time it's like, well, I don't know what you mean by that, but still. But I know with me though that like it's something I can tell, or if it's nothing I can tell. So a lot of guys would say to you, I'm like, yeah, if you want to form any sort of relationship though, that whenever you walk up to somebody that you know for sure, that most guys would say that yeah, they walk up to you and say, "How you doing, gorgeous?" or something like that, and then and like say, "What? Okay, well, what's who are you?" And so yeah, you would start a conversation, and let's just say if you want to sing to somebody, and maybe if that's somebody that you haven't met before, or if you've seen them around, but that you just want to know how do you form that source of connection with this other person. And what I say is toward it, you want to start out with something, but then of course, something, but then nothing, no. And like anybody else will probably say too, that whenever we think about something or nothing, no, that the things that come to your mind whenever you begin a conversation with somebody, and it sure seems that way. That if you're going to be shy enough, and then it's like, yeah, well, really, how do you know when the right moment of time to be able to speak? I'm like, yeah, just to tell somebody about your emotional feeling and all that. So a lot of times it sure seems that way. It's better to just write down your thoughts rather than to say them right away, right? But let's just say that that the song goes by is toward it, yeah, that whenever you first sing to somebody though, that something that really approaches your voice by saying is toward that there's something about me that makes me very delighted. And so like say, so a lot of times whenever you think anything about positive and negative attitudes though, and so let's just say that if this was right here, was me right here, and if I was going to be in the library, and let's just say if I were to walk up to one of my classmates right here, and let's just say that yeah, that you start out the song by saying this to where that I know, I don't know, but or something like that, and you're probably thinking too that okay, I don't know what that means right there. So it's like yeah, whenever you start a conversation, most of the time you're going to say something like, I don't know, or yeah, better than I know, or something like that, or I may know better than what you may know, or something like that. And so, like anybody say, well, why would you really want to write a song about that? And it sure seems that way, that you would really, if anything, maybe like a poetry song or something like that you wouldn't want to write about, but let's just say that if that song was supposed to be about is to where making friends and also any source of connection really. And so if I were to sing the song by saying it's something I can tell, but nothing I can imagine being with you, and so what exactly does that mean right there? It very much means is toward that you cannot really imagine anything else that's I'm like, yeah, compared to all the other important things that were going on during the time, that you actually, what I was, yeah, it was another word of saying is toward that you were trying to support this other partner. If you were to actually meet somebody in person, and let's just say that if you were to write them a song, and you want to go ahead and include those songs as to where like a moment of time to where that it makes that special. That's something special is maybe going to be about, maybe a certain place or maybe a certain, location. I'm like, yeah, a place where, yeah, a place where you would like to be alone with that person and, something like that. But on the other hand, though, it's like, yeah, but, nothing I can, something I can say, nothing I can tell, nothing what I can imagine of being with you. And so, yeah, so it's pretty much, whenever you start a relationship, though, it sure seems that way that you feel more companion whenever you're closer to the person. Whenever if you don't speak to them and maybe that right away, if you if you want to get to know them just a little bit more, then a lot of times it sure seems that way that it starts out with a hug. And then it starts out with maybe with a handshake. I'm like, yeah, maybe more like a handshake. It starts out with that you get closer to the person, and then maybe if you wave to the person, and then also that I'm like, yeah, within about maybe 10 seconds or so, that whenever you first meet somebody and see somebody, that the first thing that's really going to approach your mind is that really, what are the stars for what we see right here? I'm actually talking about the things for what we see whenever we look at people's, whenever we look at people's approaches right here. So let's just say if you're looking at somebody right here, are their eyes glowing? And, how does it, I'm like, yeah, the things that you see most of the time whenever you look into people's eyes and whenever you look at somebody, what do you think that their emotional feelings are most of the time? And sometimes it sure seems that way that somebody might even say that, yeah, just walk up to her or you just walk up to him. Do you think that I'm that crazy? But a lot of times it sure seems that way that whenever you're trying to speak to somebody and maybe tell them that if you think that they're beautiful or something like that, and you want to know too is toward that you, and most of the time that if you offer them maybe like, yeah, that the first, what the best way, of course, of how to start that connection, if anything, is to like walk up to them and say hi and maybe invite them to yeah, like people may say is toward that most of the time most relationships start out is toward that you walk up to them and then you ask them if they can if they can sit down with you. So yeah, if you sit down next to the person and then maybe if you just look at what they're doing and all that, and so a lot of times it sure seems that way that different ways of how people meet, and then knowing that this is how the relationship started right here, is that yeah, I include right there is the heart right there, just to know about that anything that you're gonna maybe draw for somebody and all, but still that for any source of creative thinking that I actually was thinking about is that yeah, for how was this person, were you ever able to talk to in a few of the girls that were in your class during the time that you were thinking about the song right here? But I'm like, well, really, I was actually interested in getting the band class. Whenever I was young, I wanted to get in band class, but I couldn't get it, like, yeah, I couldn't get in the band class, but still, that, during that time, that whenever I was thinking about the song, I was actually in the music, like, yeah, it was like 2 days out of a week or something like that, you were in music class. You were in music class, and you were actually taking a few lessons of the flute and the clarinet, and so whenever you were playing one of those musical, I think two of those musical instruments that I was playing. So whenever I was playing two of those musical instruments, that the things that were really coming to my mind is that if you want to go ahead and write a song to sing to somebody else, and let's just say that if you want to go ahead and maybe develop like a friendship, talk about the, friendships, trust and honesty and respect and what the friendship costs. So a lot of times that when we think about music, though, that yeah, music pretty much takes us into different places, right? But still that different moods and all that. But still that you know, you want to know too that if you could write a song about classmates, what do you think that it would really start out with, and how appealing do you think that it would be to everybody else? Well, really, that it sure seems that way. That almost everybody else would maybe have to go to that school just to really understand what the music was all about and all that, especially during the assemblies. But it sure seems that way. That it all goes by saying is to where you go ahead and write the song. I'm like, yeah, have like a little rhythm, a little beat, to the song, and then you would actually sing it. And so a lot of times it sure seems that way that you go ahead and add like a little rhythm, a little beat, to the song, and maybe like a little theme to the song, and then that would make it a little bit interesting or something like that. But still, that. But talk about for something for you right here. So I have right here of like I talk about that. For what's on my mind. For what I can imagine looking at the sky. And what I moment to think about when I think about a subject. And so whenever I was writing this right here, I was thinking too that should the song really be about subject matter, or should it really be about your approach to somebody, one of your classmates? Is that to where that for nothing I can say and nothing I can tell, but nothing I can imagine of being with you. And so yeah, that whenever I was singing that, it was actually a thought that I was coming up with. And yeah, I didn't really, I didn't talk to any students or anybody there at the school, but I was just thinking too that if you could develop any sort of a companionship with one of those students, and what do you think that it would be, and what exactly do you think that you would be singing it by? And like everybody say is to where if you're going to go ahead and write a song that's known to be very popular, it sure seems that way. That doesn't really start out with a mascot, or doesn't maybe start out with the fact about that somebody there that you were that you met there in the library. And and like yeah, like if you're going to be writing a song about trying to get everybody to yeah, join like to become like a member of the team, to where trying to make up the trying to make those tasks and the responsibilities a lot more fun and active and interesting to everybody. So you would you would write a song, more likely just for that reason. In case anybody say that whenever you were going there to that school, that you realized about a lot of difficulties that students were going through, and one of those would probably say is to where one of them could have been about understanding all of the story topics, and also forming a source of connection with the other classmates and getting to know the school and trying to get away getting around for where you had to go during the time. And so that's why that kind of got in my mind to where to go ahead and write a song about that. And like I say, is to where that hello, like a hello beautiful or something like that. And so the way I think about though that that when we think about writing a song, though, that you want to start out with by like the east tone of voice, is to where that something I can tell and something I can say, but nothing I can imagine of being with you. And so, well, what exactly does that mean? Well, that pretty much means is to where that yeah, that you were actually doing some studies, and then you actually seen this person in at the library, and then for one thing that really approached your attention whenever you saw them is that that yeah, you find them very attractive, and then also that anything that they're going to be working on. And you might know too that yeah, that something for them. And so most of the time though that if I were to be walking up to a lot of those classmates, most of the time it was like, well, what you need? Oh, I don't need anything. And so a lot of times that yeah, if somebody were to ask you a question, or if you were to start talking to somebody about something, and then you're gonna reply something such as, Oh, nothing. Yeah, nothing. I don't know. Yeah, nothing. I don't know, or something like that. And so really so whenever you first start singing a song, no, it goes by say is a beat, and you want to walk up to like yeah, the person that you're gonna be singing that song to, and they'll probably say is to word that like something like not, I don't know about gorgeous or anything like that, but if we're talking about somebody that you walk up to them and then just start singing a song, and you're probably thinking too that yeah that anyone anyone with something. I have something to say about that. I have something to say about that right there. So a lot of times it's like anyone with something. I have something to say about that. I know, we know. I don't know about that, but on the other hand too, that like there's something to say about that. Like and so far, I know, like yeah, in the library, I know, like so a lot of times that whenever you start a conversation, that you're going to maybe say something like, whenever you sing a song about something, and you're like, I say, yeah, well, I don't really know about that, but what I do know is that for what you know, and so really that can the conversation of a song really start out with that is to where I know and I don't know but or something like that. So a lot of times it's like yeah, if you were to be like what you call just bouncing back and forth and just like say, well, I don't know, do you know? Like, oh, I think you know more than I know. So it sure seems that way that you start a conversation like that to a song, and you're likely thinking too that yeah, that you start singing a song, no, and you want to know too that why would anybody want to spend a whole lot of time just trying to think about the lyrics to the song, and just to think about it as to where okay, what exactly does that mean in particular. But I just really think too is toward it, yeah, that the purpose about the song, of course, is to form a connection, with classmates right here, and let's just say that if it's related to about maybe the science project or the social studies or the math assignment or something like that, and you're probably thinking too is toward it, yeah, if you were to actually write a song about something and think about this is toward it, do you think that it would say something like I know, or something like that, or would it be say is toward it? It would the song lyrics. Yeah, I would say that the song lyrics would more like a start by is to like a jam, and like yeah, that any sorts of rhythm taker or something like that. Any sorts of rapping and rhythm or something like that. And like anybody say too that if you're gonna go ahead and write a song, no, and it would say is like that, you know. The daytime backpack. Good morning, daytime backpack. Something for all or something like that. Daytime backpack. So a lot of times it sure seems that daytime backpack. Hello, the daytime backpack. Hello, or something like that, and so really, what does that mean right there? The daytime backpack or something like that. So whenever you first start a day of class, and then if you were approach somebody, and let's just say that most of the time the language goes by as to where a handshake, along with a simple movements or something like maybe the twinkly looking eyes or something like that. And like I say, it's to where I know, something something I don't know, but you probably know, or something like that. So a lot of times, when we think about a song, that you start out by saying is to where that I don't know, but you probably know, or something like that. So it's like, yeah, it's like a back and forth conversation, right? But half the time, it sure seems that way that, if you were to write a song just to trying to make something a lot more easier and simple just to memorize or something like that, and like everybody else would probably say too, that, really, that if you were to write a song, and let's just say if you were to memorize it, and I think that that's really the whole truth of the matter whenever it comes to writing songs. And it's like something that you can easily memorize, and you're able to remember, the things that you learned, about, being in the library and actually talking to a few of the members of the groups, and like, anybody that you met, and the books that you were reading about, and maybe anything such as anything that touches the mind. I'm like, oh yeah, whenever it comes to any sorts of musical instruments or anything like that. So the way I think about it too, though, that looking at this image right here and thinking is that, yeah, exactly. You start writing down the lyrics to the song right there. And if you were to start out by saying is toward it that I don't know, but something I can say and something I can tell, but nothing I can imagine of being with you, but on your hand. But it's like a you may know, and you may know by Friday about for what's next after that. And so a lot of times it's like you start out the song by saying something like that, and what I know just a little bit too is toward well, where's the rest of the lyrics right there? But still, but when we're talking about the source of connection, though, with talking about singing a song to somebody, it sure seems that way toward it. Starts out by approaching somebody, and you're probably thinking is toward it. That yeah, for something I can say and something I can tell, but nothing I can imagine being with you. And so whenever you're going to be being with somebody right here, that it's another way of showing is toward a that a way of how you be able to connect with somebody is as to where to kind of get to know them just a little bit more. And this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is who she is, or this is who he is. And so it's like, yeah, you go ahead and form any source of group, and then you go ahead and just start talking about, if you're going to be writing a song about something, it could probably it'll be something about easy to remember or easy to figure out, and knowing about anything about if you were to write a song about something, do you think that it should be about is toward it that something that represents the community, and something that touches the mind and touches the heart. And so, like anybody else will probably say too, that when we think about songs most of the time, we don't really think about too much of the what you call the not so hard stuff. Of like, if it's not so hard and you still can't figure it out, well, that's just too bad for you or something like that. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that whenever you write a song, know that you're going to maybe say something like, there's nothing for you, and there ain't no time for that or something like that. But a lot of times it sure seems that way, that if you're going to go ahead and write a song, that let's just say if you're going to be writing a song to somebody, like to a music teacher, and explain to them about it, as to where that's just something that you wrote, so that way just to brighten up your education to everybody else. And everybody else, we're all thinking too that if you still can't figure it out, even though how many times you practice. And that's why it sure seems that way, that whenever it comes to understanding about most love stories and connections about us, is toward you meet at in the library, and then you actually start singing a song, and most of the time it was like all bunch of mumbling, wasn't it? But still, that if you would actually write in like any sorts of theater, poetry, or anything like that, and the first thing is toward you go ahead and write a song about something, and it could maybe be, if anything, is toward it the hip hop, and like, or something like that, or like you whenever you first write a song about something that you would really one thing that really approaches everybody else attention, it sure seems that way, is toward that when if it's supposed to be about the classroom, or if it's supposed to be about the library, though, that the book the book made it fun or something like that, or something like something I can imagine, like a fun story. Like if you ever heard of this, or it's about it's I'm like yeah. So a lot of times, if you're going to be writing a song, no, and like everybody, all the other students might even say that if you're going to maybe pick a popular novel or maybe based on a true story or something like that, and so if you were to be playing a song to somebody, and let's just say that you start out the story by stating as toward it, how did you do that, and where did you learn to? I'm like, yeah, whenever you show a skill to somebody, then the first thing is first is toward it, yeah, that people are going to maybe approach idea, and likely want to know too is that hey, that whenever you do sing a song to somebody, and you're probably thinking is toward hey, that whenever you do approach somebody, and then it's like yeah, you start a conversation with somebody, and then most of the time that you'll be able to remember a lot of things from what you talked about, and then you'll be able to remember a lot of things that maybe that you want to talk about and you'll use for like any sorts of song, right? So it's like, yeah, for something what I can imagine of being with you, and then also look at the stars of being with you, and so a lot of times what was coming to my mind most of the time was over the fact about if you were to actually meet somebody in person, it's not going to be what you call this imaginary friend or anybody like that. If you were to actually meet this person in person, then most of the time it was over the fact about that you want to surprise them, you want to impress them with something that you have, and it could be a skill such as maybe something very impressive. So that a lot of times that's usually what came to my mind right there is that if you were to actually sing a song to somebody, and like you using a soft tone voice is toward it that but it's something I can imagine and something I can say, but then nothing I can do, but something I can imagine being with you. And so a lot of times it's like, yeah, nothing I can do. So if you were to include that into a song, no, that it sure seems that way. That why would you want to include nothing I can do for a song? And like anybody say, is that whenever you first start a song lyric, though, that most of the time, though, that the ups and downs of that music actually go by is to where you have these moments in time to where that you actually want to meet that person by not having any sort of incident and not having any sort of embarrassing time, and that maybe about trying to approach them at a better mark. And like anybody says, toward yeah, that includes is toward that you're not gonna be yelled at by the teacher, and maybe you're not gonna have these incidents to where that you get something, you spill something on your shirt or something like that, or maybe if it's a bad hair day or something like that, and so that's why it sure seems that way that whenever it comes to singing a song, though, that first it goes by a musical instrument, and then it goes by thinking to your mind and then writing down the lyrics, and then also about just thinking about somebody that you be connected to, and so it's like say it's like for something I can imagine and nothing I can. So a lot of time, it was about imagining. So if you were to start out the song by saying this toward it that you're imagining. So most of the time, it sure seems that way. That if you were to actually sing a song talking about is like to word it not make believe, not make believe, not make believe, but then special, special known to you. Yeah, especially known to you. Especially known to you, something I can say, but then nothing I can tell, but then something I can imagine of being with you. So yeah, I would actually think of words and like lyrics as toward it. Think about it as toward it. How all these words would all connect and then form any sort of a musical song or to sing. And so a lot of times it sure seems that way that if you were to spend countless hours working on that to where they're trying to make it all make sense right there and actually walk up to somebody and actually sing something to them about something like that. And you're probably thinking as toward yeah, that even if you did were to try that do you think that maybe that person would really understand, if anything, especially if they don't know you very well? But most of the time, it sure seems that way. That anything that kind of approaches your idea, and the first thing is that you walk up to somebody, and let's just say if that person is going to find you very attractive and very generous and very cute, and they're going to say is to her, yeah, yeah. Well, what are you trying to say? And so yeah. So most of the time, if you were to start a conversation with somebody, that the first thing is first is that you want to go ahead and start the conversation towards something that maybe that person is familiar with. But then also, if you were to sing them a song, what do you think that it would be about? Do you think that it would be about a touching love story, or do you think it would be about keeping our relationships close? Do you think that it would also be about maybe showing better grades and better progress? And I think during the time that whenever I was thinking about that song, I was actually thinking about connecting with other classmates. Yeah, connecting with other classmates, but then also showing a few more better lessons. Whenever I was playing at the clarinet during that time, because there was a few songs that I wanted to write, while you're playing that musical instrument, and it was like, yeah, form any sort of connection with the classmates, and so that's why it sure seems that way. That all that hard work that you put into something, and just thinking is toward about 6 weeks working on something, and about how many people would really want to listen to that, and listen to that suggestion and all, but still that. But I know with me though that if you're going to be writing a song, though, that it sure seems that way. That talking about classmates right here, and like most other classmates would say, is that yeah, that if you were to be writing a song about anything in particular, though, that do you think that it would be about imagining to where that you can actually see approach everybody to where that these people, these students are going to gradually start liking you for what you do and interacting with you for what you come up with? And so a lot of times it sure seems that way. That most of the time with most music, though, that music, like we say that yeah, if it approaches your idea about the music lyrics, and then knowing that for what you're familiar with, and then knowing that somebody's going to maybe think about that is very impressive. And let's just say if it's for anything about auditioning and all. So it sure seems that way. That when we think about music, though, that the music to our ears, though, that the first thing that we're gonna be thinking about most of the time is like times that I tried singing, though, and I can even sing everybody here talk about for friendships, though, is that to where that today is just an incredible day to know about for what I can imagine of being with you. But then all in the hand is toward it, I just really say it's like if I can dance and if I can sing and just to look at the stars. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, you go ahead and start singing, and most of the time it's like to where that you start singing, and then maybe if you just start dancing and knowing about how the lyrics go, and like anybody says toward how do the lyrics go whenever it comes to talking about for something for you. And I could say is that for there's something I would like to say, but then I don't know if you would understand. But on the other hand, is toward that this is what I have to say is right here is that yeah, that something very impressive to be able to tell you about is that yeah, whenever I think about you, I think about stars, and then I also think about the connection about whenever it comes to understanding about the things that we talked about in class, and then also the things that we like doing during our spare times in the cafeteria, in the gymnasium, and then also it's about the artwork, for what approaches your mind, for what you think about whenever you think about that. Like, about the library book, and then also if it's about with what I can imagine about being with you, while if we were to have any sort of relationship. So a lot of times it sure seems that way, that whenever you begin a song and you're gonna say it's like something for you. I don't know if you know, but then it's something for you. But I would like to say, what I would like to say is toward that talk about trust. I'm like, yeah, talk about friendships and kindness. Kindness, friendship, like, and then also it goes by saying is toward it that the colorful pictures. I know, like so I say, yeah, most of the time, anything that you're familiar with, right? But a lot of times it sure seems that way, that whenever you write a song, though, that people might say is to where it's supposed to really be about, yeah, I know, but do you know? I don't know, but I know. So it's like, yeah, kind of like that, the passing forth, back and forth, lyrics in some kind. But really, why would anybody really want to write a song about that, though? And if for anything, that would it really approaches anybody's idea. But a lot of times, it sure seems that way. That yeah, something for you, and so it sure seems that way. It starts out by dancing with that, yeah, giving that person a hug, and then also, dancing with the person, and then a lot of times it's like, you probably thinking too is that you were to go ahead and write a song about that's somebody special, and that the first thing that you're gonna maybe be thinking about is that yeah, that something for you. What do you think that something is? Is that yeah, that something for you is what I made for you, and so that yeah, that was, I think that was something that I was thinking about. Talking about really, what can you really give to somebody, and then is anybody, I'm like, if you were to actually give somebody something, what do you think? What exactly would their emotional feeling be? Even if it was a candy bar. So if you were to write a song about that, and like anybody else would probably say too, if you were too shy enough, really to say that it's from you, really, are you really shy enough to admit? Yeah, are you really to admit that it's for you? So is anybody say, yeah, are you really shy enough to really to admit that that it's for you? So a lot of times it's like, whenever you do want to sing to somebody, and maybe if you want to kind of sing a song to them just to form any sort of connection, and the first thing that you're going to be thinking about is toward it, yeah, something for you. What is it? I don't know. But, I would like to, like, yeah, it all starts by talking to them about a story and maybe a talent of some kind. But on the other hand, too, that it's just another way of how do you want to cause is toward it, meeting other classmates and meeting somebody. And then on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, could it also be about having fun with the words and the lyrics of some sort? But still, that there's a lot of things that we could probably think about. Is that whenever it comes to understanding about the song for something for you, though, that yeah, whenever you give somebody something, what exactly does that mean? Whenever you do give somebody something, even though if you don't know them very well, and most of the time, even if it is maybe a note, or maybe if it is anything, such as, maybe, yeah, something to be able to help improve, like, yeah, just to be able to, like, yeah, if it's, and let's just say that, like anybody say too, if this song right here was written during the test time, I'm like, yeah, if you were actually be writing a song right here, so something such as something for you after you take the test, everybody else will probably say too, yeah, I really don't know if you can really do that, during a time of that quiz or during time of that test that you can actually give somebody something while they were taking a test. But let's just say that any sort of gift of appreciation or some sort. But let's just say that whenever you want to go ahead and talk to somebody there in the classroom most of the time, that the first thing that came to my mind most of the time was something that I was able to come up with at my own time, independently, not something I copied off of a library book or anything like that. So most of the time that's really what I was working on. I was actually working on the fact about, for nothing I can say, but nothing I can tell, but something I can imagine of being with you, but still. Whenever we hear that those words are saying is toward that there's something that you want to go further with, getting to know that person first before. I'm like, getting to know the person first before you actually come up with the silent. But with the way I think about it too, though, like really now, whenever you wrote that song, you actually were thinking about is this toward that not everybody's going to agree with what you want the song lyrics to go by. So it sure seems that way. That whenever you write a song, though, it seems like that you have to get everybody to agree to how the song words of So Far Saying will go by before you actually produce it and then put it in for audit and then also for any source of auditioning or anything like that, for any source of recording. But the way I think about it too, though, that whenever it comes to storytelling and all that, something for you, though. And so a lot of times it's like, that whenever you do talk to somebody, do you necessarily see any sorts of words and music lyrics, floating around? I'm like, like anybody say that whenever you look at somebody's looks and appearances a lot of times, do you see any music going on, or do you hear any music going on? Like, hello, so shy, or something like that. So shy looking, or something like that. So a lot of times it's like, yeah, yeah, that shit. I'm like, one song that I was thinking about too is toward that, for hello though, shy me or something like that. And, you would start singing. You would start singing a song by adding any sort of rhythm, and with that rhythm though that I can go and put on here is like the shally me or something like that. Something like a rhythm. You would go ahead and you would include like a rhythm, so that would be like the sound of like you would include a rhythm to where that there's noise going on in the background to where it kind of gets that gets the moving, the posture, if it's the posture and all that moving, it gets the all that moving right there before you actually, whenever you do start singing the songs and the lyrics, though, that it sure seems that way, that it's all about motivation and also trying to get everybody's attention toward, okay, well that's what this means, or that's what that means right there. And so it's like, whenever you go ahead and write a song, and like everybody else will probably say too, that whenever that song approaches everybody else's mind, and then that's whenever that everybody else, it's like, they're going to go ahead and get the best, they're going to go ahead and get the idea about what is it that you were talking about. And if you're going to go ahead and write a song about something, and let's just say if it's supposed to be about in the library, and you want to go ahead and start the song by saying is toward it, the east, the east side or the west side, go through the door, in the door, through the hallway or something like that. So if you were to actually write a song, that most of the time you hear about that. It could be about a relationship. It could also be about a better grade progress. It could also be about the musical band or something like that. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that if you were to go ahead and write a song, that for a long time, that you go ahead and memorize those lyrics as to what it's for something I can say, but nothing I can imagine. Being with you And so, yeah, whenever you would actually seen that, though, what exactly was I thinking about during the time? I was thinking about is toward, yeah, that if you were to actually develop a relationship with somebody there in the classroom, that they're going to go ahead and look at what you do and approach your work by saying this to where really incredible. So really that amazing. So most of the time that's really what I was thinking about, is that that's something that you actually wrote and something that you think of, it's something that you can think of that that you actually thought of, something that you created, something that you thought of that that made that very interesting to somebody else. So that's really what really kind of what mainly approached my idea during the time, but on the other hand, though, it sure seems that way that when we think about music titles and music artists, though, unlike any say is that if you're going to go ahead and write a song about something, though, that you really you want to go ahead and write a song about is toward for what motivates you about for what all that you learned whenever you were going there to that school, and then also interesting library books, or maybe interesting dance, or interesting moves during the band session or something like that. And that's why that everybody else would say too that it all starts by is to where if you were to actually write a story about something, then what do you think that story would be about? Is this toward a good, positive friendship, and then building a relationship that to those that you can trust, and in honesty and respect, and talk about wisdom and all that. So a lot of times it's like certain moments to where whenever you think about that certain moments to where that you just start talking about something, and people will say is toward that they know exactly what you're talking about, mainly because if they say they've been there, or if anything that they recognize what exactly that like if it was about humming the song, or if it was anything in particular like that. And so just to be familiar with something like that. But anyway, but I thought I'd go ahead and mention that about that. But still, but talk about for something like something like you that I can speak to you about. And so it's like when we think about music a lot of times, though, it sure seems that way that music to our minds, though, that the first thing that you think about is toward the beautiful voice, and like you want to hear the voice, and then knowing about what exactly comes to your mind whenever you do think about music, though. You think about a certain moment toward that you want to think about a special moment, a moment that really approaches your attention, and that you really want to go ahead and share those moments with somebody who can really understand it, just to kind of get the idea about what the song lyrics are about. And so that's why it's like that whenever it does come to song lyrics, that you would probably say is toward it's something I can say, something I can tell, but nothing I can imagine being with you. So what exactly does that mean for like it's something that nothing that you can say? So it's like that you actually want to start out the song by saying is toward it you want to get to know your partner first before you go ahead and start talking about what is it that you do, and then you might go. So it's like so in case if anybody were to ask you a question, what exactly does that mean whenever people tell you that a story, and let's just say that person is going to maybe tell you that you first and then I'll go, and like so you're trying to decide about you want to go ahead and start a conversation with somebody about something, and let's just say if they're going to be talking to you about a story about something, and let's just say that person's going to say that you go first, like, and this is who I am, and this is what I'm studying, and then the things that you like to talk about, and then the things that you find to be most difficult about, and then so you say a few things, and then you go ahead and ask that other person though. So a lot of times it sure seems that way that you start out the conversation by saying this to where do you feel comfortable talking about something, or maybe the things that you find most difficult about that. And then let's just say if you were to write the song just for that reason, that make that other person feel a little bit more confident and comfortable with like anything that they were struggling with. And so that's really what I was thinking about whenever during the time whenever I was thinking about that song, is that if you were thinking about anything that you were really having a hard time and struggling with, and just imagining in the near future to where if you were to actually make a friend, though, that you would actually be talking about stuff. And one of the, a few of those things are going to be about as to where the things that you found to be most difficult, and you were just trying to better understand it. And that's why it sure seems that way, that something for you. And I think that that's really the key factor that matters, is to where that there's something there that you just don't know yet. And you don't really want to say nothing is there, but still something is there. But we're just trying to think about a good solution to where that there's something there, but then you're just trying to realize what exactly it is. And that's why it sure seems that way, that you want to start out the song by saying this toward it, but something I can say and something I can tell, but then something I can imagine being with you. And so yeah, so if you were to actually start out by saying like the song is toward it, for being with you. And so yeah, if you were to talk a story to somebody about something, and let's just say that if somebody would approach your idea about this toward, yeah, who's gonna go first before I go first. And so yeah, so if you were to actually be talking to somebody about something, and the first thing that's gonna come to your mind, music to your ears, is that yeah, that whenever you first start a conversation with somebody, that you're gonna probably say is toward, yeah, well, you go first, because I'm like, yeah, well, really, that why do you think that person would ask you to start your story first before they start talking about their story? And most of the time, it's like, is it really just to kind of get a better clue about, that you've been there in that situation, or if it's really about is toward it, there's certain moments of time toward it you don't really know how to begin, explaining. Most of the time that's what usually what happens too. So most of the time, yeah, whenever you meet somebody, it sure seems that way. It's all about feeling more confident and comfortable talking about certain talents and certain skills, and anything that you were really struggling with at the very beginning. And that's why it sure seems that way, that really, that you really felt more comfortable writing this song in private, just because of that reason, just because that the music teacher or somebody, that they didn't really give you enough time really to get enough practice. And so that's why it sure seems that way, that you pretty much had to keep those lyrics memorized from all those years. And it just want to know too is toward that, yeah, if you were to actually sing that song to somebody, that let's just say that you don't say something, I can tell, or something is there. You want to start out the song by saying is toward that, something I can imagine and something I can say, but something I can imagine being with you. So whenever you were thinking about that during the time, which I was, that something is there, but then you're just trying to realize, in the presence about what exactly is it, that you were referring to, something in the present. So really, if you were to start out the song like, yeah, something in the present. So yeah, there's something there, but then you're just trying to figure it out. It's all about figuring it all out, ain't it? For a long time ago, that a relationship or any sorts of friendship, you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure it out, but know about with me though, that whenever you do begin a relationship with somebody, most of the time, it sure seems that way toward it. Yeah, that Yeah, you talk to a story, you tell somebody a story about something, and that's something that you were dreaming about, something that you were thinking about the other night, and you the first thing that's really going to come to your mind is toward that person is not really going to understand until they've been there, and that's why that with me though that I go ahead and write down the song lyrics right there, and if I say is to where if you would actually approach somebody and like I say, is toward it that they really have a better understanding now for what you were talking about. Just because that they know they've experienced what it's like. Just to make friends and of course just to get to know everybody there in the school and just to kind of get to know their way around the school and everything. But still, on the other hand, the way I think about it, though is like talk about for reading my mind and also for anything that you can imagine and but still. And so I say for something I can say and something I can tell, but nothing I can imagine of being with you. And so really, being with who? Well, being with you is more likely as like, yeah, you go ahead and tell somebody a story about something, and most of the time, what does that usually mean? Whenever somebody asks you to go first before they explain their story, most of the time, that usually means is toward the yeah, that person is not ready to tell their story until after they heard somebody else tell their story. So yeah, somebody else tells their story first until that other person feels more comfortable talking about it. And yeah, someone else tells their story first. So really, it seems like to me it's all about the confidence. Yeah, confidence. So really, that for anything that makes you feel more comfortable singing, and then just thinking about is toward yeah, any sorts of friendship and a relationship and sorts of matter, and that's why it sure seems that way. That whenever it comes to singing a song, that's the first thing that's really going to approach your ideas to where to think about is if you were to actually be talking to a friend and maybe be talking to somebody about something that you like doing a lot of times during your spare time, and you're probably thinking is toward yeah, what's one thing that you think that you would be able to tell them, and most of the time it's about a story, right? And that story, of course, could also be about something imaginable, but on the other hand, that it's just something that do you think that it will be for you or I to be able to better understand it? But anyway, but just know about it as to where that yeah, it's something for you to know about, understanding about the song lyrics. But anyway, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.